Welcome to the Dirty Verdict Podcast, where your host, trial lawyer Kyle Herbert and mediator Peter Taaffe break down Texas legal news, lawsuits, and verdicts. And now, here's Kyle and Peter.
All right, we are back with our special guest, Bill Ogden, and this is Peter Taaffe with Kyle Herbert. We're going to go through some news stories. That's what our focus is most of the time, is on Texas, primarily Texas news stories. We'll start with one in our hometown of Houston. On February 10th, the families of Terrell Briscoe, who was a New Orleans police officer, and I'm going to mispronounce his name probably, Dyron Ricolfi, who was a friend of Officer Briscoe, filed suit against Landry's GP Inc., DBA, the Grotto restaurant, and Amrite Uptown Houston, and some other related ones, and Eden's Limited Partnership. Obviously, the Grotto over on, I believe that's Westheimer and the Loop, and then the other two are the owner and manager of the shopping center that the Grotto is located in. Kyle, the issue is this: these two men were shot and killed by people that were caught, gunmen that were caught. It was a robbery attempt gone wrong. And the allegations in this case are what probably both you guys do quite a bit, and it's a premises liability, basically negligent security, failure to warn type stuff. The claim is in this petition, and here's the other interesting part, the lead lawyer on the case for the plaintiffs is Rusty Harden.
Sure.
And we know the well-known owner of Landry's is Tillman Fertitta, two of the most famous people in our town. The petition is very detailed, where they talk about, at the time, this was August of 21 when it happened. Leading up to that, there had been, probably many of y'all recall, there had been kind of a rash of crime around that area, particularly, they call it jugging, where they would follow people home from the Post Oak or the River Oaks district, where there's a lot of nice restaurants. Obviously, the Grotto is a nice restaurant. The lawsuit alleges that there's an alleyway that abuts the outdoor patio.
Okay.
And so it made it a very convenient egress for bad doers to go. So these people were out on the patio when this happened, and so the allegation is, among other things, that there were no warnings. These gentlemen had no idea, to know they're from out of town. They don't know anything about the crime. They didn't get any warnings, and they were kind of sitting ducks. So that case was just filed. I have not seen any news reporting on it. However, I'm sure there will be, because that will be a very fascinating showdown. Thoughts?
I'm super curious. One, what court did it land in?
Let's see. The 164th, which I believe is Judge Thornton.
Okay.
That's where it was. That's where it was on the petition that I pulled.
I think I've tried a bench trial in her court.
Really?
Yep.
Did you forget to pay your jury fee?
No, I think she's a very fine judge, as all the judges here in Harris County are.
I do too. I was just asking.
Yeah.
So in those kind of cases, you never know. There could be. That was a good question, because that was when it was originally filed. But it is still showing, at least on the district clerk side, is still being in the 164th.
So everybody in this room knows. Well, first of all, a little bit of background. Grotto's like a nice Italian restaurant, right? Just inside the Loop from the Galleria, and it's owned by Grotto, La Griglia,
Landry's.
Tillman Fertitta, Landry's, all these restaurant conglomerations. And to be fair, Tillman Fertitta now owns, he's got the Post Oak Room, Willie G's, Mastro's Steakhouse. I think all that.
The Post Oak Hotel.
Yeah, all that stuff is his.
It's hard to be a billionaire from restaurants, but he did it. And it was a basketball team.
Yeah, for sure. And, well, never mind. I was going to say, and a college basketball team.
Technically, stadium at least.
If only one of us here was a former member of the U of H Board of Regents and could fill in some blanks for us.
Well,
But that's okay.
I'm going to exercise my right to remain silent on any comments on it, because he is a friend, and he was the chairman while I was vice chairman of the Board of Regents.
And I'm not honestly saying anything bad. He's been extremely generous with his money, whatever you think about him, for the University of Houston.
Yeah, he's no Joel Osteen, that's for sure.
Well, so there's this. So I've been to the Grotto plenty of times. I have not been there in many years, though, and I'm kind of curious, what. Well, so we all know as lawyers how difficult a premises liability case for insufficient security is.
Was that Timber Grove is the case?
Timberwalk.
Timberwalk, yeah, just gutted it.
Timberwalk, you got to prove like they knew or should have known that crime
There's
in the
been
area.
prior exact same
same stuff, right? So it sounds like a tough case.
I agree.
Also, like when I heard 2 folks were shot and killed at a Galleria area restaurant, and then I found out were they both New Orleans cops?
No, one was a New Orleans officer, and the other one, I believe, was local and owned like a transportation company. They were all in the same social club that sponsors Mardi Gras stuff in
All right,
New Orleans, and so they were here to meet up.
So I heard about this stuff in the local news, and I immediately thought this was like the backstory of a Michael Bay movie, like weird cops doing stuff in a different town. I don't think that's actually true, but it's got all kinds of weird factors going into it. But tough case, and I'm kind of trying to, like, what warnings could you give?
Well,
People get shot up here?
I don't even give that. I don't go that far. From my perspective, I look at who the lawyers are, and if Rusty took the case, there's probably got to be some teeth to it. I don't think he's not taking any. I think at his point in his career with his reputation, I don't think he's taking any flyers on this one. I think there's got to be some facts we don't know about yet.
Maybe there'd been like attempted shootings. Maybe like it was easy to like
close
off that area next to the restaurant.
Yeah, or a shooting had already happened before there that didn't make the news or something.
If you think about all the traffic and all the crime at 610 and Westheimer between the Galleria and the Hotel Derrick and all those restaurants, like I'm
literally going to dinner there this evening.
Sounds good.
I'll wear my vest.
The petition is, and there have been some issues even at the Post Oak, which is I think the only 5-star hotel in the city. But the petition is interesting because they list at least 12 incidents within the months leading up to that in that same geographical area. So I think the odds are, you guys are the lawyers, the trial lawyers. Be very difficult, I think, to get past summary judgment.
You don't get to say you've been mediating for like a year.
Yeah,
Peter.
right.
You don't get to say like, well, I don't know. Y'all are the trial lawyers.
I'm just a caveman. No, but I want y'all to showcase your skills. Does this get? Is there any chance that summary judgment is granted for any of? It's an owner, property manager, and I guess a tenant that is.
It's extremely expert heavy.
It's expert heavy, and it's expert heavy early. I think there's in any premise liability case, you're looking at problems with summary judgment from the plaintiff's side. So
yeah.
That said, it's fair to say we're not going to run into Mr. Harden at the Oak Room anytime soon.
Has there been an answer yet?
No.
Okay, I'm curious as to who Tillman selects.
I've had several lawyers answer cases that I've filed against Landry's.
I've had 2, and it's different law firms.
Yep.
Both bigger. But.
A couple come to mind, but let's see who answers that case. Super interesting.
We always say this. We'll keep an eye on it and let you know. But this is one that I'm not BSing. I'm going to keep an eye on it.
Anybody know Rusty real good?
I do not, but a very close friend of mine is very close with Rusty, and they do a lot of work together. So I can see if I can give y'all some updates.
Interesting. All right, moving along.
Very good. Okay, we're going to go. This one be a little quick because it's kind of outside our core competency. And I'm with Bill. I generally try to find people that know more than I do, but it's just kind of interesting. Lizzo, because it involves Lizzo, who is we claim her in the city of Houston as one of our people, represents our city. Definitely the University of Houston, where she played flute in the marching band for a while. She's
also the spirit animal for the Dirty Verdict.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but if that's good, then yes, I'm for it.
Okay.
The best possible response you could add, Peter.
So the headline is this, and I think we use curse words. This is a quote from a story.
We'll beep this out in post-production.
Lizzo can register the term 100% that trademark for her clothing line. So
100% that beep.
Yeah. So we'll. She has some other. There's a really good story.
Is this like Oshkosh Bagat? This got to be a toddler's?
It's like Oshkosh Bagosh, but with curse words and probably
Oshkosh Biatch.
Slight Bagosh. Isn't that what it's called? Mm-hmm. I haven't had a toddler in a while.
Yeah, so she had counsel, and because there was a little bit of a fight initially if you can believe this, they initially rejected it, and then she got some good lawyers who got it approved. So, I guess Kyle, Christmas
is coming soon.
23. I think I know what you're getting for Christmas.
I don't know what our anniversary is officially, Peter, but I'm looking for some
Silk.
some dirty verdict, 100% that biatch, maybe a sports coat.
Oh, I thought you were going to say yoga pants, but yeah, sports coat works.
Well, we already have a licensing agreement with Lulu, so
I always get Lizzo and Lulu mixed up. So
they're very close. Very close.
All right, so we'll give a shout out to Lizzo's counsel. I'm going to mispronounce it, but it's Chiesa, Chiesa, Shanahan, and Gianna Tomasi.
Oh, you nailed that. Nailed that one.
Yeah,
for sure.
John Tomasi.
Is that no relation to Rolo Tomasi?
Well, could be, but anyhow, they did.
Are they? Is that here in Houston?
No, I looked them up. They're from
LA?
at least out of I think up northeast. So that was a good one. Okay,
Pretty cool name.
That
No, Tomasi.
he set,
All right,
me,
that
he
was-
set up.
that was a good one. Let's see. We were going to talk about what was the next one we had online.
Well, we got Judge Englehart pouring out $25 million cases.
That's right. Okay, so this was a doctor. This is very recent, and it was a defamation lawsuit claiming $25 million in damages. And y'all know as lawyers who have cases in the news, whenever you have to plead a certain amount under the Rule 47. And so it's always, everyone always says, what are you asking for? Didn't your clients always, did they ask you that? Like, what are we asking for? And you go,
I always tell them just more.
yeah.
Whatever,
But-
just more than that.
But usually-
Spelled Moar.
Yep.
More.
More.
That may be trademarked though from the estate of Notorious B.I.G.
That's fine. I'll fight that fight.
Didn't see that one coming.
When you plead 25 million, like you had to try to do that, right? You had to make it. You didn't just say, but pursuant to Rule 47, I seek more than $1 million, less than $2 or whatever.
No, you thought in your head, I mean so much business. I mean $25 million worth of business.
Yeah, right, 2.5, and then.
And the plaintiff
starting
is
zeros.
an actual licensed physician.
Yes, ear, nose, and throat specialist. Probably considering her litigation history, may not want to say the name.
That's fine.
But I'll let y'all say it if you want. Y'all are rich. So the
I'd like to stay there. I'd like to stay there.
So anyhow, so she claimed that Houston Methodist defamed her because she had some concerns about the COVID vaccine, and they went, I guess, publicly said she's wrong and she doesn't speak for us, so she sued them. Now, y'all probably get calls, maybe not a lot, but some calls from. Well, you probably, Bill, get a ton now about people wanting to sue for defamation.
100%. And I brushed up on it. Mark at my office is far more, into the defamation scene, I guess. But we're dealing with a couple of defamation suits now. I assume they probably ran into a Texas Citizens Participation Act motion, TCPA, which is Texas's version of the anti-SLAPP, which means you can't bring a lawsuit solely for the basis of silencing someone's constitutional rights, usually in the form of free speech. So that's what I would assume the case was disposed on, but it could have been a 91A. Either way, the fact that they won, defense counsel is it's mandated they get the fees. So I don't know who is representing that case on the plaintiff side, but if you get another bite at the apple, give us a call.
Does it? Do those fees typically go against the individual, the plaintiff, or does it go against the firm?
Yeah, they go against plaintiff.
Okay.
But in our contract, in every relationship we've ever had with any client, we've always said that if you get hit with fees, we're swallowing them.
Got it. And then so the issue is let's say if it is determined that the TCPA, the law, the anti-SLAPP law, some people call it, applies, that doesn't mean ipso facto they're out. It just means they've got a heightened pleading or they've got some burden of proof. Is that right?
So the TCPA, the problem with TCPA is it actually dismisses the case. But all it means is within your pleadings, and you can do a motion to request discovery to flesh out some of the facts, but you have to give you have to set out a prima facie case for every single element of every single allegation that you make in your petition by quote unquote clear and specific evidence, not clear and convincing. And we're not 100% sure to this day, at least I'm not, unless something's come out in the last 6 months, what clear and specific evidence means. But yeah, if you get hit with that, yeah, you lose a dismissal, and mandatory defense fees have to be paid. The kind of part that really gets me is if the plaintiff wins, you may grant fees. So the judge has discretion to, but if the defense wins,
not mandatory.
Judge has to, yeah.
Interesting.
The TCPA is a mess of a statute, and it's been litigated poorly by a bunch of people already. So there's some bad case law. We've cleaned up a lot of it, but it's still. I mean, they were filing anti-SLAPP motions and car wreck cases at one point.
Yep.
So I looked. I'm looking at the docket. This was a TCPA motion that disposed of it.
Who defended it? Do you know? Can you pull that up?
Yeah, it was the Paul Yetter's law firm.
I got you.
So the other thing, the biggest challenge on a defamation case, let's say that she's not a public figure. Do you still have to show some heightened malice or something, or can it just be defamation as a matter?
So if you're not a public,
this is a public issue, not a public figure.
So it's always case specific. You have to look at when the doctor threw herself into the public controversy. Mm-hmm. So if she did it before Methodist defamed her, then she has availed herself as a public figure, and you have to show malice. If you're a private person, you only have to show malice if you're going after punitives. But if you want to go if you're not looking for punitives, you're just looking for actuals, you only have to do a basic negligence standard.
I mean, so I would say this: it's difficult to gauge the damages because ever since I got the Pfizer booster, my 5G is so clear.
It gave me cancer.
But your internet, like your streaming, is
super fast,
amazingly fast. So it's kind of like, what do you want? You want the cancer? You want the brain chip? Do you want the super clear streaming? Like, I don't know.
I'm just going to bait you into a hot take here. When you say vaccine, Kyle, what was the vaccine that we took supposed to do? And follow-up question, did that happen?
Well, as a person who is so well entrenched in the contrails and the frogs.
In the mRNA.
The thing is, It's part of a worldwide media conspiracy with Hillary Clinton, and you know that.
You gotta say Bill Gates too. So you think Hillary Clinton put that microchip in your arm?
Look, man, I'm a humanist.
Jesus Christ. Yes, you are.
So that's a lot of veiled, bizarre references to a whole lot of nonsense. So let's move on. I want to talk about something huge, looming, and important, which is the 50 Cent lawsuit. Hit me with it, Pete.
All right,
give me that big one, Peter.
Yeah, I'm the straight man.
You don't have to say that. You just said
you don't have to say that.
We already assumed that. The sport code said that.
I was trying to I was gonna try to dip my toe into being funny like y'all do by saying straight man.
Well, it wasn't the toe.
Didn't make no good. All right. The storyline from Vice is actually, there's a couple different stories. And Josh, can we put links on our page? We'll put some links on there because there's a good one.
Can we put links on the page? We've got so much 5G, we can literally do whatever we want.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
from the cancer.
We've got some good. We've got lawyer commentary from lawyers that are smart. All right, 50 Cent, rapper, I believe Houston resident, or at least dabbles in being a Houston.
Houston entrepreneur. I think he's a restaurateur in Houston at a minimum, and I think him and Drake may or may not have had a strip club at one point too.
Okay.
I don't know anything about those.
No, but sounds interesting.
Okay.
So 50 Cent has sued a Florida-based esthetician. I'll give you the background. So he goes.
Please no.
Yeah, he goes and everything we say is like going to be like everyone's on heightened alert for some devil intolerant, right?
Yeah. Ask your children to go out of the room if you're listening.
I'm really avoiding the puns, but
I was going to say, this is put on your 13-year-old boy brain right now. All right, so he's apparently in Florida, sees this person, unclear whether he has some type of service done there or not, but if it's innocuous, whatever.
He means
I'm not
penis.
Sure. Yeah, I haven't been to one of those. But regardless, she asked, can we take a picture and can I put it on my website? Or can I do an Instagram post? And he says, fine. So she does that. Fast forward, a news website called The Shade Room posts an article about her and one of her new offerings, a penile enhancement procedure. And she talks about her and what she does and says, oh, by the way, she also has a clientele of celebrities such as blah, 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 and 50 Cent. So obviously the implication from 50 Cent's standpoint is, oh, you're saying I went there to go get
Botox.
Penile enhancement procedures done. So he sues her.
I'm strongly considering getting my calves done.
Again?
Well, I'm thinking about it.
Jesus. Okay.
That's a real thing though, right? That happens.
Oh, 100%. I know a person.
Yeah.
I know actually 2 people.
Calf implants?
Yeah. They look phenomenal, but they're fake.
Yeah.
I'm a lat guy in an ab world, so I got to distract from my upper body to the calves.
That's what every lat guy says.
Go ahead.
All right. So 50 Cent sues this lady in her spa. But she comes in and says, I didn't do anything. I can't help it that the Shade Room wrote this. So this is in California, so I don't know the exact procedural. We would say, third party, or it'd be a responsible third party, or maybe they would bring them in. But as I understand it, he has now brought the Shade Room in as well, that would have been a good title for
So is it slander, defamation, misappropriation of name and likeness?
Yeah, it's a
is it all those?
Kind of thing. And then, I guess a defamation on their part.
California's anti-slap statute actually has some teeth, so I hope they played that carefully. I'm sure they did. I don't see 50 Cent going and grabbing some car attorney to do that, but
he's for what I've seen of him in the media, he seems like a really savvy business dude.
Yeah. He bought vitamin water and sold it within a couple of years, I think, and made $900 million.
Yeah,
he was George Clooney before George Clooney was off ER.
He was George Clooney before Val Kilmer was Batman.
I think I was still a child. I think I was in the womb when Clooney left ER.
I would not, to be honest, I would not. I've actually represented some people in the entertainment industry, and I would not want to tangle with the lawyers that 50 Cent can afford.
Speaking of, you just mentioned Batman, which I've really been trying to get this on a podcast. They just announced Michael Keaton's coming back as Batman, and that's the worst Batman. So
yeah.
I'm Batman.
That was a Super Bowl ad, right?
Yeah.
What was it like?
Super excited.
Yeah, going to be amazing.
Hope they bring back Arnold as Iceman.
Is it too much that he's back as Batman, but did a parody of Batman in Birdman?
Batman back as Batman, Birdman, Batman. Whew.
Yeah.
Now that you mention that, I smell a lower back tattoo in my future.
It's giving us all sciatica just even thinking about your back tattoo.
All right, well, back to the 50 Cent. That came on my radar because it was on a mediation website that I look at that's being mediated on February 28th.
Humble brag on the mediation website reviews.
There we go. That's what I do. I just study. That's my life. Bill, just love it. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Unless y'all have anything to add, I think if we
no, because we don't want to be sued.
Yeah, I don't. 50 Cent, if you're listening,
Team 50,
get rich, die trying. I got nothing but love for 50, and whatever you say is probably right, fair, and accurate.
Yeah, Curtis Jackson is an inspiration to us all.
Filled with justice. He seems like a genuinely awesome dude.
He really does.
Yeah. All right. Next one is about our local lawyer that I know Bill knows, named Tommy Kirker, Attorney Tom. Obviously, his father's very, very successful lawyer. Kind of
Steve.
One of the kind of
just down the street here, as I understand it.
Yeah, Steve. Yeah, he's just literally down the street.
And I didn't know, and I still don't know Tom, but he was on a podcast that Michael Cowan does that was very good and talked about his career and developing his practice.
What do you mean by very good?
Shout out to Michael Cowan, not for the podcast, as a lawyer. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Super
I mean,
smart.
but that said, like his podcast is, I think, the sworn enemy of the Dirty Verdict, and
It's definitely a trial lawyer's battle.
Trial Lawyer
Did he
Nation?
start before y'all? Of course. But is
Does
he
he have
better?
content that's
I'm
entertaining?
not going to go there because I think both of you guys
Are
are
you
great.
trying to set up like a WWE SmackDown where we go head to head on?
I'm just saying one of these podcasts has the beans and the know-how, and maybe another one is.
It has some beans and know-how as well, but maybe not better, but maybe not worse.
Where's Cowan from? Dallas?
I think he's down in Valley. Yeah, San Antonio. He does a lot of work south. I like Mike. He's a great guy. He's helped me out on a lot of cases.
Yeah, I don't know him, but I listen to his podcast quite a bit. He has interesting guests. For sure.
Let's. At this point, we're going to cut to commercial or Trial Lawyer Nation. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, right.
Good work.
More interesting, Kyle Herbert.
Yeah, we like to lift all boats around here.
I'm going to put my hairline against his any day of the week.
When we talk about podcasts, there's great people on both sides.
True.
I'm going to keep just quoting Trump on this.
You're just terrible.
Well, anyhow,
Fired.
so Tom has, I'm sure he's got a lot going on, but his most recent one is he has sued YouTube star Logan Paul. Let's make sure and get that in the search terms for our website. Over an online game project called CryptoZoo. It's a class action. They say Mr. Paul and his associates took millions of dollars worth of their participants' cryptocurrency through a fraudulent venture. Basically, it was a game of some kind. You played the game and you earned or won or what have you, digital NFTs, digital coins. But according to Mr. Kirker and his clients, they have not gotten what they bargained for. They filed suit in the Western District of Texas, which is Austin Federal Court. That is fairly hot off the presses as of February 2nd. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I'll start with just saying Tommy is a younger lawyer. I remember I met him maybe a month before he passed the bar, and when he told me his business plan, I laughed at him, and I will never laugh at him again. He's super smart, super tech savvy. He's built an amazing platform basically for free off of social media. And he continuously, he started with getting mass torts cases in Juul, which was a younger, the tobacco vaporizer pens that were designed for kids. He started there. He's gone from industrial accidents. He gets a ton of business pretty much for free by posting videos and explaining kind of controversial things in the news with legal ramifications. And so hats off to Tommy. Great job.
Just listening to him on his that podcast I mentioned. I won't name it again, Kyle.
Shut up, Peter.
He works. It's not like some easy deal. Like he works his tail off at it. He's very disciplined and does it.
I've done a couple videos with Tommy on different things, and he is extremely serious about it. And when he sets out his day, he sets out time to make content. And he started on TikTok, I think, was the big one that he started getting most of his followers on. And he amassed 700,000. I don't know what he's at now, but he was at 700,000 a year ago. And he just takes kind of big stories, puts them on TikTok, and explains the legal side of them. And he does it in a way that's easy to listen to. And so that's kind of where he exploded. And from there, it's taken its own wings.
Let me ask a dumb question.
No such thing, Kyle.
Who is Logan Paul?
What a dummy. Logan Paul it's Jake Paul's brother. He's a YouTuber, and him and his brother have amassed an empire of money.
Is one of them like a boxer or
Both
something?
of them are. So Logan is the one that fought Floyd Mayweather.
Seems
Paul's the
dangerous.
Jake Paul's the bigger one that's challenging pretty much every MMA fighter that's not a professional boxer.
And so these guys part-time get hit in the face, full-time go on social media to make money.
They've got their own. I know Logan Paul has his own podcast. I think it's called Impulsive. They've got their own energy drinks. They're like kind of serial entrepreneurs, and they print monny.
So that'll be interesting. Class action is notoriously hard to get certified unless there's the defendant really wants to certify it, and then that makes it easier.
So the lawsuit is local attorney Tom says you were selling me NFTs, which are actually supposed to be worth something, and they weren't, and so
I think it's more of he alleges that you sold everyone NFTs. and it was all bullshit. And I don't, based on what I know, and I'm like an 8 out of 10 on the pop culture, keeping up with it. I don't necessarily know if the Pauls are the responsible parties, but they were involved and they definitely pushed a lot.
They were the face of the deal.
Right.
Okay.
And there was fraud at some point, and everyone that was in it lost money. Yeah, and it's called crypto punks.
Crypto what?
Punks.
This one says the crypto zoo was a rug pull, which they say they promised a host of benefits and then they abandoned the project and absconded with the money. This is interesting. Here's your pop culture. Tells you what our kids are doing. Participants would purchase cryptocurrency that allowed them to buy eggs in a digital game, and then you hatch the eggs, raise the animals. These are all virtual, of course, and those would act as the NFT. And then those animals could be bred to create hybrid creatures from additional crypto. So
circling back to Alex Jones on hybrid humans.
Yeah.
Here we go.
As I said before, I'm a humanist. That said, this stuff sounds extremely dumb.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
So, but yeah,
I don't know what an NFT is. So I know what it means, but I just don't necessarily know exactly what it is.
Non-functional.
Fungible.
Non-fungible what?
Token. Exactly.
It's like Italian money. If you want to buy mushrooms in
You have to
Italy,
go like this.
you get a token.
A token.
Or anything that's non-fungus, I guess.
Yep.
Sounds.
I'm not a fun guy.
I'm so far out of my depth on that topic. We need some younger blood here in the.
Like Attorney Tom. I bet he can
He's
explain
just
it all.
down the street. We're gonna get Attorney Tom on here.
I'll get him on. He's a good buddy of mine.
He's finally going to resolve this issue about why Trial Lawyer Nation is a substandard podcast.
I thought he was going to say why. Well, I think it's because you haven't asked him. You don't even know how to get in touch with him. But you know who does? Callan.
I just want to go on record and say this right now. I hate you, Bill.
Tommy will give you some love.
I hate you so much.
I'll talk him into it. I'll bribe him into coming on.
All right. What do we got left, Pete?
I think, we won't end it. We'll end it on 2 verdicts, and we'll be quick on those. But here's the one that's just, this is a sad one, but it's interesting, and it happens a lot more than we think. So storyline, it's out of Houston. It was last week. Family sues funeral home, claims that son's body left to literally rot during winter storm, I guess Uri, with no embalming. So the story is that he died right before Uri hit, which was this young man died on February 9th, 21. Most people kind of we're right at the 2-year mark. A lot of people think the 14th. I know today a ton of cases were filed involving the Uri litigation because it's kind of today is seen as the 2-year anniversary. So 2 years ago, roughly, he dies. This, according to the family, the funeral home does not take care of the body, doesn't embalm it. It smells. They're trying to have a open casket. Just a complete disaster. They finally get it. They've got pictures of it, of the body, and it doesn't look anything like the young man did. So they have sued the funeral home, host of cause of action. So
who's the plaintiff's attorney? Do you know?
It is Omar Khawaja.
I saw Omar on Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the one quoted in the story. I looked up the petition. Although it was filed recently, it was filed a little while ago. It wasn't reported until recently. But the funeral home company has filed a motion to compel arbitration. So there must have been
some sort of contractual arbitration for.
Best of luck to you.
Yeah.
Man, arbitration's kind of a boondoggle. Like you're going to get hosed.
I will say this: if you're a plaintiff's lawyer listening to this and a funeral home case comes your way, take it. They print money. Juries, when you pay a company to bury a loved one in a specific place and they don't do it the correct way, juries punish the shit out of you.
Here's my question though: is that arbitration agreement, like I've been through plenty of arbitrations, I really won't take them anymore because it's just brutal. I end up with some like super conservative former Republican judge in Dallas invariably. So I've never had a arbitration case related to a funeral, so I don't even know like
all the ones I know of.
I've heard of AAA arbitration. I've heard of judicial workplace arbitrations. Is there like a death benefit sadness mortuary arbitration?
I think it's be contract specific to the funeral home and cemetery. But the ones that I know of, and you can Google the verdicts, they're all jury trials, and they're massive. They're whatever you think they're worth, times it by 5. It's insane.
Well, this case is pending in the 157th, which is Judge Garrison. So we'll be see what happens with that motion to compel arbitration. Response has not yet been filed, so we don't know what the counter arguments might be.
I like Judge Garrison. She's on my Mount Rushmore of Harris County District Court judges.
She does a very fine job. She's been to speak at my CLE, which Peter's been to, and
Oh yeah, she was at ours too, the one that I did.
Yeah, very fine judge.
She asked really hard questions,
which I try to avoid as a practitioner. But
I said words. I didn't address her question probably, but I did say stuff.
Fair enough.
All right, so we'll just end it with 2 verdicts since this is a dirty verdict. Let's see. We are aware that Kyle Finley and other lawyers at Arnold Idkin, apparently it's been reported a Louisiana jury has awarded their clients $27 million. It was a family of an offshore worker who was injured in 2018 workplace accident on an oil and gas platform operated by Talos ERT LLC in the Gulf of Mexico.
Did they try the whole case or just the damages? And there was did they do the limitation action beforehand?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I looked, and I don't know. I didn't talk to Kyle or anyone there on it, but yeah, if it was done through the limitation or not, as a jury. So typically limitations, I think, are done.
No, I'm saying, did the limitation get done before, and they just tried damages to the jury? I didn't. Yeah. I don't know much about that case.
Yeah, no, I looked at. Obviously, I could have gone on Pacer if it's in federal court, but if it's in state, it'd be harder to find.
Well, Pete, thanks for doing just the bare minimum.
Yeah, I do. I researched.
Maybe Michael Cowan's right.
You're like the FMCSO.
No, we need Kyle.
Bare minimum.
Kyle Finley needs to get some out there on that. He needs to get Attorney Tom to get cracking for him, because I tried to find stuff online, and maybe it's too new. It just came out, and they'll have more substantive news on that. But yeah, we like to report verdicts. And then Benny Augusto last Friday in Judge Ross Court at least reported that he obtained a $28 million plus verdict.
Yep.
And do you know how many plaintiffs? So it was
6 plaintiffs.
6 injured men.
I believe 2 of them have OSIP issues, but they were the 2 small ones.
Okay.
But I know the 3 biggest ones don't have OSIP issues. And Benny, obviously, we know he's a great trial lawyer in town.
Certainly.
But I watched a lot of it on the live stream, and I was super impressed with Jonathan Sneed. I've worked with him for the last 3 years on 2 cases, and seen him in trial. I was like, damn, dude. I even texted him, like, man, he letting it rip. And Benny let Jonathan and their team deal with a lot of super important witnesses, and it showed that he was confident in their abilities, and that shows a lot about. Not a lot of firms do that. You get a case that big, you're talking 10, 20 million bucks. You know, whoever's name is on the wall is going to be the one talking the whole time. And Benny Jonathan probably smoked more than anyone. And everybody knows Benny's a fantastic trial lawyer, but I thought Sneed was a shining star in that for sure.
I had the same. I mediated a case with Jonathan. I'd not known him before that, but I was very impressed with him. And he's also a Westlake High School graduate.
Yeah. He's never been he's never unimpressed me in anything he's done. I just never seen him in trial. And Excellent. Seeing him in that, he took the corporate rep for Exxon. It was a popcorn polymer butadiene explosion. And I mean, the documents were fantastic for him already, but just annihilated the corporate rep.
Did you watch it online?
Yeah.
Isn't that it's an amazing thing that's happened from COVID is the ability to watch trials online.
I watch trials every day. Most for entertainment. If there's no good civil trials going on, I always watch family law trials, and I'll open them up and put them on in the background while I'm like answering emails and stuff. Phenomenal, and I wouldn't say phenomenal lawyering for the most part, but the facts and the way
where do you log in to find these?
So if you go to any court's live stream, you go
I know that, but
you just click on more channels, and then I just go shopping for whoever's got, because they have a red live sticker next to which courts are live, and I just go shopping for which one has the sexiest facts.
I had one of those hearings the other day, and a young female lawyer called me esteemed. It was being broadcast several dozen people listening. And it was the end of the hearing, and this lawyer said, esteemed trial lawyer Kyle Herbert. And
You have to say her name or we're not going to believe you.
and the judge said, Mr. Herbert, any response? And we'd already been arguing this nonsense for 40 minutes. And I said, Judge, I object to everything she said after esteemed trial lawyer Kyle Herbert.
Clip it.
That's it. We're done.
Was that on the record?
We'll fix it in post-production. Yeah, basically it was. No, it was definitely on the record.
There's a transcript.
Somewhere. I'm going to leave it to Michael Cowan and his crack team podcasters to find it because...
Really, we found that nerve.
All right.
A podcast has been around a little bit longer.
Bill, you did a great job. I really appreciate you coming on.
I have fun.
And
I
hanging
like
out
it.
with us. And we'll do another one of these soon. And
Check HBO next month for the documentary that's going to drop on the Alex Jones trial. They followed us around for a year and a half, and they're coming out next month.
That'll be fascinating.
What's it called?
I don't know. It's the same documentary crew that did Leaving Neverland, which was the Michael Jackson. So they
Was this the lady
us.
taking notes?
No, that's Elizabeth Williamson. She's a feature writer for the New York Times. She wrote a book, and I'll sign a copy of that for you, just so you have to live with that. She describes me awesome. She's like super tall, Beethoven-like hair. He's amazing, super funny. And I was like, thank you, Elizabeth.
You're like totally normal shaped nose.
But yeah, Dan and his crew from England came over 18 months. They came over multiple times and filmed with us during different stages of it. And then they got the court to allow them to film in 10K. I thought it stopped at 4.
5G.
So yeah, I can hear it now.
It's like a slight buzzing.
They filmed every single day, every single minute of the actual trial. So that's coming out. It should be, I was told, into March 2023. So they're still in the editing process, but be looking out for HBO.
That sounds awesome. Thanks, Bill. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Pete,
guys.
as always. See you in another week or so for some more Dirty Verdict.
Thank you, Kyle, and thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you next week.
I was wondering what that was for.
Thanks for joining us this week at the Dirty Verdict Podcast. For links to some of the stories discussed today, please visit our website, www.dirtyverdict.com. If you have obtained a recent verdict and want us to discuss it, please email details on the verdict to us Also, please follow us wherever you get your podcasts.